Hello and welcome back to the 343 podcast, episode 54. My name is Riyaz and I'm your host today, obviously, and ably accompanied by my two co hosts, Jason and AF. Guys, how is it going today?
Going good, man. It's going good. Happy Valentine's Day to those that are celebrating. I'm wearing my red. Shout
Lovely.
out to my girlfriend. Cheers. Happy Valentine's Day.
That's so
How's
sweet.
it
Mr. Loverboy, Mr. Loverboy. Now going well, going well. I'm excited because this is Riyaz's debut as a
going?
host of the
Boy.
podcast. So yeah, we all know that the guy is talented in many ways across sports. So yeah, let's
100%.
see what happens.
You also have that nice slight red represented there on your chest, eh? I see it. It's
This is
trying
all
to
about
hide.
Adidas, bro. I'm
Okay,
looking for that Adidas sponsorship. That's all I'm going for.
lovely.
Adidas, if you're watching this, every episode I'm wearing a different t-shirt. Notice
That
me.
is true. That is true. I think once you start doing the Jude Bellingham signature logo stance, then things might take a turn for the better.
But you guys are doing well representing. I also representing. I have my significant other right here next to me. As you can see her, she's right here. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet
That's
you.
John
Um,
Nice to meet you
Cena.
guys.
yes,
We have applications in all forms on all social media accounts. Riyaz, as we had mentioned earlier, is very able, multifaceted.
Talented
Um,
guy.
yeah,
Talented guy.
as
anyways, this is what
long as
happens when
he's
you try and host
free
the show
on
for
a
the first time.
Wednesday, as long as he's free on a Wednesday, then everything's good. You can have it for the rest of the week.
So this is not me hosting. This is about setting me up for someone in the future. That's lovely. I'll take it. But thank you very much. Back to the football, though. This was the one time where like AF actually kind of mentioned that he wanted to talk about United this week, which is kind of new
Mm,
to us because we try and avoid United at all costs. But well, I guess we'll start with United today. And United have kind of the ownership deal was ratified by the Premier League, so the ownership can actually like happen now, can be taken over. AF, we'll have your stance on this since it's your club. What are your feelings about it? Like, you know, is it positive? Is it negative? What's the way forward? What can we expect from United basically after this has gone through?
So yeah, I have to look at this through a positive lens. There's no other way for me to look at it. Initially, I wanted the whole Qatar deal to go through with Sheikh Jassim. I don't know if he's a real person, by the way, but yeah, I wanted that deal to happen mainly because it was 100% buyout. It was full control, and we move forward knowing that we are rid of the Glazers completely. Whereas this deal, it's a 25% buyout of the club with a future stake or like future, um, how can I say, a future
Like
deal.
like an
Uh,
option to buy basically.
it's
mm,
I don't think it's even an option. I think it was agreed initially that he gets
as a man.
25%
Okay.
initially, and then further down the line he gets the other 75% to take full control of the club. But I don't know, like there's not much being spoken about that, which makes me think that if things go well for United with him taking ownership of this 25%, looking
Yeah.
after the football side, the Glazers, who are only thinking commercially, they have the other 75%. They still have a huge stake in the club, obviously. And if things go well, they'd be like, okay, we are staying here forever. This is going to be
Yeah.
our cash cow. This is going to be our meal ticket. And we are never leaving. And that's the only part that makes me feel a bit hesitant and a bit nervous about this deal because we know how much dividends they take out of the club every single year. I think they might be the only club in the Premier League that takes out dividends, and I think they might be the only owners in the Premier League that don't really pump in any money of their own. They use the profit turnover every year that United makes from gate receipts and all those things uh, to 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 use as transfer kitties or whatever you want to call it. But from what I've read, they don't really pump in any of their own money. And I think now with the whole Sir Jim Ratcliffe thing coming in, how much are they going to be pumping in, and then how much is the whole Ineos company going to be pumping in themselves? If it's going to be that Ineos has to foot the bill for any new transfers coming in, then I mean that's already a signs of things to come. But like I said initially, I have to look at this like through a positive lens because there's nothing else is going to happen now. The deal is done. It's been ratified by the Premier League. The silver lining is that Ineos now looks after the entire footballing side. We've never had a football director. We never had a footballing department. It was always just bankers looking after the transfer dealings, bankers looking after everything. So yeah, like I mean, silver lining. We have a path that seems a bit clear now for us to move forward in, and hopefully in the months to come we'll get that director of football, we'll get that sporting director, all the positions will be filled as to how the vision of this club is supposed to be.
But now, how so in all those years that you guys were winning so much under Sir Alex Ferguson, how did it work in terms of the kind of the sporting directors and the sporting side of it?
So the difference is with that is we had somebody by the name of David Gill. He was
Okay.
very knowledgeable about different things on the footballing side. He sorted things commercially as well, but I mean, he was part of the DNA of Manchester United. He knew what needed to be done, and he worked with Sir Alex Ferguson for so long, where he knew what Sir Alex Ferguson needed at any time, and Sir Alex bought himself that much clout within the club because of everything that is won over the years. So I don't think that a director was necessary. I don't think a director of football or sporting director was necessary. But since Sir Alex left, there was no proper direction to the club. David Moyes came in. What was he going to do? No idea. Louis van Gaal came in. He came in with a philosophy, but it was the wrong philosophy. But it was still one. They then he had an idea of what he wanted to do, what he wanted to accomplish, but the rest of the club, Ed Woodward, all of those idiots, they weren't really on the same page. And then he left. Jose Mourinho came in. He knew what he wanted. The relationship went sour, and it was him against the entire club. So hopefully, with things like this, it's cutting out that sort of middleman now. The director of football will sit with the manager, who is Erik ten Hag at the moment, try to determine how or the method to move forward, and just take it from that. I mean, I'm going to look at Arsenal, for example. Uh, every single time they ask Arteta a question about transfers or players or contracts or stuff like that, you'll immediately say, "Don't ask me, ask Edu." And that's because Edu is the person that looks after all of that, and he
Yeah,
consults the manager when he needs to. And
yeah,
that, I mean, it's exhibit A of a proper structure within a football club. And that's
yeah.
something that United hasn't had for a very long time.
I like how you said the Ten Hag is the manager at the moment. That was very aptly put there.
I'm only saying that because
Foreshadowing.
there's been there's been murmurs about Erik ten Hag not being the long-term manager under Ineos. So that's the only reason why I said that.
Mm.
Okay, Jason, your thoughts on this issue? This issue I say because it's apparently going to lead United down a good path. But yeah, your thoughts on the matter, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't really have many good thoughts about United. I just want to preface that.
Yeah.
But I think it is a good move for the structure of the club. I think AF had alluded to David Gill earlier, and obviously Ferguson's legacy is so deeply entrenched in what's happened for everything good that I think United's achieved, and to be there for so long, he and David probably set up such a fluid sort of a structure that they understood each other. And also it was at a time where the club didn't really need to do a lot of recruiting because players wanted to come. So it really wasn't as hard as currently I think United have to fight for certain targets, right? I think if you're having a sporting director that agrees with the philosophy of what Erik ten Hag wants to do, I think it can only help you guys. I think you maybe need to change a few of the signings because he had gotten all of Ajax players trying to play that Ajax system. Maybe you need something or someone or a few players that are a bit more robust and can actually handle the demands of English Premier League football. So it's coupling that system and then bring it into an English football context where, yeah, it's a bit different than the Eredivisie, you know. But yeah, I think we say it with all of the clubs in this current like transition period. It's not going to be as quick. It's not going to be as easy. But if you get that understanding that, okay, this is where we're wanting to go. So to get to this destination, we need to take this sort of steps. I think Man United are right on the way to making those better decisions. You know, I think recently they've been plagued ownership and then all those external things that have then filtered down and affected footballing. So yeah, I think it should be good. I think it's not going to be quick. It's not going to be easy. And it's going to start by firstly clearing out all the dead weight and then from there planning a future with a mix of youngsters and also a lot of incomings if they can. Obviously, FFP didn't exist in the time of Fergie. So yeah, it's a very different kettle of fish and different set of things that you have to negotiate with.
Would I be right in saying in football terms, because like this is like I'm not really delved too much deeply into like the structure or like the top side of the clubs. So would I be kind of on the right track in saying in football terms, like when Fergie and this Gill fella left, it was like, let's say your central midfielder is leaving or has left and you need to fill that hole. And instead of filling the hole with one like-for-like substitute or transfer, you kind of bring in 2 or 3 players who kind of have different attributes that kind of fill the role that player used to kind of fill. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So if I can relate this to something that you'd remember, right? When Gareth Bale left Spurs to go to Real Madrid, right? Spurs signed 6 or 7 players that were supposed to fill what Gareth Bale did in that season. And look, I think you understand what happened there. Gareth Bale came back. So yeah, that
question backfired badly on me.
That's an example for you to keep. But yeah, 100%. It's now obviously Fergie was there for so long, and you try and fill the void with what is left. But I think all of the managers that came in still found that, and I think this is where Man United got it wrong, and where Wenger left, he did a complete cold turkey. He said, okay, he's now done. Where he was as involved in all of the main decision making as Fergie, but I think United and I think all of the managers, they were plagued because obviously it's very daunting. But if you constantly reminded that, okay, let's just consult Fergie with what he actually did, then you'll be stuck in the system that everything has to flow through him. So yeah, if this is the step in the direction where, okay, Fergie is like really like at last resort, we then ask him or we look at what he had done previously, then fine. But every little decision can't go to him because then you'll be stuck in that cycle of, okay, it's still Fergie's club, and you don't discard everything that is done, but you also can't hold on to everything that is like done and stuff and trying to run it exactly the same because those conditions don't exist. Howard Webb isn't still officiating, you know. Mark Clattenburg isn't there. All of these guys that were so afraid of Fergie. Yeah, it's a completely different kettle of fish that you have to deal with.
Yeah, it's like they need an independence type thing. Like they need to. This is like the start of like kind of an independence that they need to move into to try and move forward and not like kind of depend on the past. And because Fergie was great, no doubt about it. But like you said, it's now they're going to be stuck in the rut of going back to him the whole time and things like that. But staying with United played Villa this weekend. A massive top 4 game. It was a good game. I say that tentatively. It was a good game. It was Villa's just gone through a bit of a, I don't know what's going on with their club at the moment, but they after having not lost at home for like so how many games, over 20 games, they've now
Yeah,
lost. They lost 3 on the bounce, something like that. Um, I mean, I'm not sure what's exactly going on there. Newcastle had injuries, right? They obviously dropped because of injuries. They didn't have squad depth and things like that. Villa have some injuries, but
yeah.
it's more or less a similar team that was playing throughout the season. So what's been going on there? Like, let's first talk about the game a bit. 2-1 United. It ended. AF.
So I just want to go like you said, like they had injuries, and it's more or less like similar type of players that's been playing, except for two:
Yeah.
Ezri Konsa, Pau Torres.
Mm-hmm.
Pau Torres has
Mm-hmm.
been immense for Villa this season, and it's no surprise that
And
the moment he gets
who's
injured,
his substitute? Who's his
sorry,
replacement? Who's his
I think it's
replacement?
Longley. Eh? Longley was Pau
Longley,
Torres'
yeah,
replacement, yeah?
Longley, because it's
He
Diego
is
Carlos on the other
shocking.
side, and
Yeah.
yeah, and then it's supposed to be Pau Torres, but then Longley came in.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, Pau Torres has been immense, and
Yeah.
it's no
That's
surprise
fair.
that since he's been out, Villa started a bit of a dip. Ezri Konsa, he's also been quite good for
yeah.
them, and he's also, I don't know how long he's out for, when he's coming back. I think it's another 2 weeks or so, if I'm not
Yeah.
And is
mistaken.
he playing at right back?
He plays at right back, and he played at centre back as well when Carlos
Yeah.
was injured.
Okay.
But it's
Yeah,
also yeah, the idea of injuries, right? I mean, every team has it.
yeah.
Spurs have been plagued with injuries. Man United, Arsenal, City lost De Bruyne and Haaland, and they just quietly kept on. Um, I think we have to move out, and maybe this is like, I wouldn't say it's a
But it's about the
controversial.
depth, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but I mean, every team has it, right? And it's just that varying. Like, I mean, teams have had injuries. I think Brentford have some of the most injuries almost every season, and they stay
Yeah.
in where they are, like where they're meant to be, right? So mid-table, they maintain that position, and once those guys come back, then suddenly everything improves. So I think teams can't hide behind injuries anymore, because there were title charges where teams lost players, and yeah, we weren't allowed to use it. And I'm saying this because Arsenal had it last season, but I'm sure there were teams before this that you lose key players, and people's like, no, it's fine. It just means that you just have to unfortunately get on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Villa, I think, are suffering from the Unai Emery curse. As an Arsenal fan, once again, I can also vouch for this. Um, it's gonna happen. I have PTSD. There are clips going around, like people saying, "Look, if you survive this, then you have to give Arteta time." And I'm like, 100%. I watched my team play Mustafi and Socrates, and yo,
Kolasinac.
yeah, it was just a whole lot of weird things. And then even when we played our best team, we had like Lucas Torreira playing false nine. I was like, okay, Unai is just gonna do what Unai is gonna do, to be honest. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think injuries can be used anymore now, bro. It's like you have to almost get on with it. I think that's what we're forced to do when you're playing in the English Premier League.
Yeah. But I
Did you
mean,
catch? Did
like,
you catch the game?
Yeah, I caught the game, and I still think Villa did a lot better than what I think maybe United did. I think United played in bits and
no,
starts, and
leaps and
that's
bounds.
all you actually need, right? Villa at least created a few more chances, but at the end of the day, what happened? Man United got the 3 points, so you can play as nice as you'd like, but if you can't get the ball in the net and the 3 points at the end of the day, then it means absolutely nothing. And once
Yeah.
again, I speak from an Arsenal perspective because I've been through that. Yeah,
I mean, just the fact that like Riyaz knows this. Like, I wasn't impressed by what I saw from United this weekend, but at
yeah,
the end of the day, and we mentioned it on so many episodes
mm,
before, that United, like, they lack that determination in their
yeah,
game every single
yeah,
week, and it just
yeah,
seemed like they they didn't have the urge to fight for that winner,
yeah, yeah,
and it was a pleasant surprise to see that over this weekend.
Yeah.
The subs that Erik ten Hag made were quality subs, and
Yeah.
I said this as well. Like at the end of last year, so like play McTominay as a striker. Just do it. Like the dude is scoring so many goals. Just
Yeah.
like play him
Yeah.
as a striker. And then like the sub that he made this weekend was like bringing McTominay on for Rashford. And then he just played McTominay through the middle. And like a
Yeah.
few minutes later, Dilo just like whips in a phenomenal
Peach of a
100%,
cross.
10 out of
It,
10
it, it literally
cross.
made up McTominay's mind. That's probably one of
Yeah,
the
and
best crosses
like
I've seen recently.
McTominay just headed it like any number 9 would, and
Yeah.
it was amazing. So I put that down to Erik ten Hag being like making those like amazing subs. But yeah, just like the determination factor, and as a United fan, it made me happy.
Yeah.
Doesn't take away from the fact that they played rubbish the entire game.
Mhm.
The 3 points is the 3 points at the end of the day, right? That's all we want. The 3 points.
Exactly.
I'm not sure about the substitutes. I feel like he makes the same substitutes often, and then sometimes when it doesn't go right, people
Yeah.
shout at him for it, and then sometimes when it does go
Yeah.
right, people applaud him for it because he
Yeah.
brings McTominay on and plays him through the middle a lot, and that's kind of the problem in games where you need to kind of shut teams out because then you're leaving one guy in the middle, and then McTominay and Bruno are way forward, or Bruno drops in for some reason. But I fully agree. McTominay is a striker. Somehow, some way, he's a striker. He scores you goals. He pops up in the right positions. He just needs to have the ball put on his plate. And it
Yeah, I
brings
mean,
United how close?
sorry, you can't be the top scorer for your country as a
Yeah.
midfielder in the past 12 months without being known. Like, just like let this guy be a striker. I mean, 3 years ago, he was playing centre back for Scotland, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
then you went back to the midfield, and now he's just like scoring goals for fun over there.
it's crazy. But he has the instinct, It's the instinct. He knows
Yeah.
where to be, I suppose. His finishing
I
is
don't
not
know
that
if
great, but
yeah, if it's sorry, Riyaz, you were saying finishing not that great.
no.
Just
No, that's what I say. I said finishing not that great. It's just that, he just knows where to be, and that's important, like as a forward
yeah.
player, I guess.
Yeah. No, so I'm while of the opinion that he's been misprofiled when he plays for Man United, but that's because where he wants to play, there's so much quality that's actually ahead of him.
Yeah.
So it's like he's good at maybe a box to box, right? Or even playing closer to the striker. But because you have a guy like Bruno, and because you're trying to accommodate, Rashford, even if he's off form, or like Garnacho, or playing Hoyland through the middle, or like Martial and stuff, he's always going to take a back seat, always going to play in a position that is not performing at an optimal level. But yeah, I think it's just somebody that, I don't know, besides everything else, right? I think he gives a lot of heart. And I could be mistaken because I don't
Passion.
also watch passion. I don't watch all of the Man United games, but I think the game against Liverpool stands out for me. I think this game as well, he understood what he needed to do when he had come on. He understood what was needed from him. So he obviously occupies those areas close to Hoyland, gives him the support, and then suddenly Villa have to now deal with two players that are moderately decent in the air box area, basically. So yeah, I think it was a good change. I think I also have to agree. It can be a good change, but I can also agree with Riyaz in that Ten Hag does make the exact same changes almost every game. And maybe he'll get a bit luckier as it maybe goes along, but it worked. You have 3 points, and suddenly it's not that far, right? It's just like we had mentioned this before. You string a few wins together, maybe not the performances, but at this time, all you have to do is just get the wins under the belt. Get
What is
that
it like to be
confidence
on the
of
bounce?
knowing that, yeah, get that confidence of knowing, okay, maybe I'm not playing well, but I'm actually getting a win. So we'll fix the other stuff, but for now, we're somehow able to scrap, which is very vital when you're chasing any form of like position or title. You have to have that ability to scrap those wins through.
Yeah, true. One more thing on the United game, I want to ask you, AF, about Maguire. How do you feel about Maguire nowadays? And
Don't.
what's
No,
been
it's
going
like
on there? Is he the
I'm
first choice centre back?
I'm
Paul
I'm not
Heyman,
even
greatest of all time.
I'm not even going to deny it. Like, I mean, the guys come on leaps and bounds since the captaincy's been taken off him. And we spoke about this before. That could have been something that was holding him down. There was just too much expectation around him. And yeah, like ever since he's lost that armband, things have gone in the right direction for him. Um, the fact that we lost Licha wasn't great. But yeah, Varane and Maguire will probably be the first choice pairing for the next 8 weeks or however long until Licha returns.
And when he returns, who drops?
I would think that Maguire still drops out. I think
Okay.
the first choice pairing will still be Varane and Martinez.
Just making sure. Just making sure. Last thing surrounding the subject, I want to know quick, fast, your prediction of who is going to get that fourth spot: Spurs, Villa, United, Newcastle. United are now 5 points off, 6 points off the top four. Villa 1 point off, and Newcastle are 11 points off. That's far. 11 points off.
Can I get back to you in like a month?
No, I want. That's what I want it now. I want it now because I don't want any more wins on the trot, any more wins on the bounce. I want a random guess right now.
I don't think Villa is going to take the fourth spot. I think Villa is going to keep on dropping. I actually think it's touch and go between Spurs and United. Spurs have been scoring way too many late winners for them to not get anything from the season. That's just my assumption. They did it again this past weekend. They like we spoke about determination and grit earlier, and I mean Spurs have been showing that in pockets this season. So yeah, I think that they get something out of the season still. And with the new UEFA competition next season, fifth spot might still qualify for Champions League.
Yeah. It's actually
You
crazy.
didn't give me an answer though. You gave me a choice of two. I want one.
I can't choose. I can't choose. I don't know. Okay, Spurs. Spurs is going to end up fourth.
I'm also going to go Spurs. I think Newcastle, they've shown that they have this DNA in them to just be a bunch of losers, to be honest. So, yeah, I think Spurs.
Okay, thanks, guys, for my clip. That's all I wanted after the session. Thank you very much.
Anyway. No. You have to choose as well.
You have to tell us whether you're backing your own team or not.
Well, with you guys backing my team, how can I not back my own team? I mean, come on now. I'm going to go with United, of course. I'm not going to back my team. What do you mean?
What is this reverse psychology happening over here?
I have to. It has to be. Okay, let's all go with Spurs. It's the club that I wanted. You know, I pushed for it. So let's go. All three of us think that Spurs is going to end fourth at this point in time. That's great. I love to hear it. Thank you for that.
On the 14th of February. Let's see if it's the same.
On Valentine's Day. That's my present.
Valentine's Day curse.
Okay, let's move on to Arsenal quick. Jason, I mean, it's been a while since we've kind of seen such a performance from your team. You've been winning a lot, obviously. You're, 2 points off the top, things like that. Doing very well last season, doing very well this season. But how great was it to see your team put someone to the sword? And not like just anyone. West Ham haven't been terrible this season either. They beat United a couple of weeks ago. They've been the thorn in the side of how many teams throughout the years.
Yeah,
you guys as well, even us. So how good is it? How does it feel that you guys not only beat them, but you finally put someone to the sword?
Yeah, I think recently we had Crystal Palace, which was 5-0, but that's at home and that's like a standard. We always seem to cap it at 5. So for us to score 6, and it's 1 goal more than what we normally score, it was really nice. I think it's something that we haven't possessed, and I think it's something that I spoke about previously as well, where teams like Liverpool, City, Chelsea to an extent, they when they need to beat a team, they beat a team comprehensively. I think AF still has nightmares about that game. So yeah, it was good to see. I think when we come together and when everything clicks, I think we are very scary to watch. It's like anything could happen, and it feels like it could have been more than 6. But it's just the consistency of it now. So I'm not expecting to win 6-0 every game. I'm not expecting to win 6-0 away every game either. But I want at least like a consistency in terms of all of the things that we're supposed to do, that we actually do it well and that we do it regularly. I think it was good to see it. I think personally, West Ham have been a bit of a thorn. I was in the UK and they beat us at the Emirates, and that was a bitter one to swallow. Before that, they beat us in the League Cup as well. Everything surrounded Declan Rice and saying that they've improved since he's left. I think he had showed, and I think he signed off on that game very aptly. So yeah, it was good. I think it's a good momentum boost. I think going into a run of fixtures, and I was checking it yesterday, I think it's a period where I'd like us to win almost all of the games, and that includes like our 2 Champions League ties. It includes a game against Chelsea at home. It includes a game against Brentford at home. I think it's games that we should win, and I think it comes down to maybe, there's sticky games, but I think if we can go to the Etihad, I think in March, and get a positive result there, and then go to the Tottenham Stadium and also do a positive result, I think I'm still going to be frustrated if we lose it, because Fulham took points off us, especially in those games where we also dominated and we just gave it away silly. But yeah, I'm going to make another bold claim, seeing as I made Spurs for 4th, right? If we beat City and we're able to beat Chelsea, then yeah, I think come May, I'm going to have a very good birthday present.
I think we just got another clip there.
Another clip. Let's save it, right? And then we'll reference this timestamp rather. Yeah, I think we've in this last season or 2, maybe 3 seasons, we've addressed all of our bogeys. I think games like maybe Crystal Palace away, Monday night under the lights, we've managed to overcome that, right? Brentford away, I think last season we absolutely dismantled them. Liverpool away, we've actually shown that we can win it, even though we've maybe thrown it away sometimes. Yeah, I think we finally beat City after completely dominating them in games previously and then just losing at the end. So can we get that bogey off our back at City? Hoping for it. Spurs recently, I think last season was the first time where we comprehensively beat you guys, but I think it's been one of those games where it could go either way. So I'm hoping that in those 2 games, if we're able to win there, and it doesn't need to be a 6-0, it just needs to be something where we get the 3 points at the end. I'm going to take it and I'm going to run, and I'm feeling that, yeah, it could be a good place to be. Yeah,
I think the game at the Etihad is going to be obviously the most important. Because that's a 6-point swing, I think.
Yeah.
And I worry about somebody else coming to sneak in there, I'm not going to mention them, but I'm really worried that if you guys do beat City, the other team is going to come out of nowhere and kind of snake you. But we hope for the best, we hope for the best, and we hope to look back on this clip fondly. If your biggest takeaways from that win, that 6-0 win for Arsenal on the weekend?
I'm going to tell you what my biggest takeaway was, and that is I had Martinelli in my FPL team, and the Brad did jack shit. No goals, no assists, nothing.
He had skill moves though. He had skill moves.
He's the most important part of the front line. But unfortunately, you don't get points for that. So that's just unfortunate there.
Maybe give a bonus or something for one skill move or something.
Sure, but I mean, did he play? He started though, right?
Yeah,
he
started. Trossard played in the middle.
Yeah, which is also I'd love for us to chat about that, right? Because we were so close to signing Ukraine Bolt, right? And then we signed a guy that hardly sleeps, and he's been one of our most consistent players. Like I think his numbers of goals per I think 1,000 minutes, minutes per goal is ridiculous. He's up there with I think Thierry Henry and I think maybe Ruud van Nistelrooy, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's been what a player, what an absolute player.
How's the transition into the midfield though?
Hey,
how's the transition into the midfield? Like, how do you see him? Where would you prefer to see him, in the midfield or on the wing?
I enjoy him in the false 9 role because he's so intelligent, and I think what we've developed in that front line is that regardless of who plays in the other number 8 role, So if it's Havertz or if it is Trossard, I think it just works. I think all of them have the intelligence to move in and around. So that front four, like we saw times where Martinelli was leading the line, and Trossard was in the midfield, and Havertz was on the left wing, and it's not occupying it as a Vinicius Junior or like a Kylian Mbappe. You know, he has the intelligence to come in and to play those little passes between centre back, right back, and all that stuff. I think he adds a lot of fluidity for us. And then for Saka's goal when he won the penalty, he picked up the ball inside his own half in a 8 role basically, and plays a perfectly timed pass over, perfectly weighted, everything. It sets it up. So yeah, I think it gives us a lot of depth. I think it gives us an option where if Jesus is injured, like he's been recently, we have Leandro Trossard who can drop off. I think he's also one of those confidence players. I think if he plays a few games, he gathers a lot of steam, but also he seems to have a bit of a niggle in him. So yeah, it's just, I think false nine is probably where he's best because he's got a great understanding of space and timing and depth and all of those things. So
what you're saying is that okay, you go, AF.
No. This is now like segueing to another player on the pitch, and that is: do you see or do you think that there's a transition happening at left back between Zinchenko and Kivio? That Arteta is slowly trying to like push Zinchenko out of that first left back spot and bring Kivio in because he's starting to see much more minutes. He's getting more starts than Zinchenko is. And I think he's a better player than him as well.
I think defensively, Kivio is more centre back and left back, so he's 100% better at what he's supposed to do as defending goes. Zinchenko gives us, I believe he gives us a lot when he does the inverted role. So in a time now when he's not playing, and I think Kivio has profited from the fact that Tomiyasu's been away at Asian Cup and Zinchenko's been a bit up and down. I think he's just done what he needs to do: be a solid defender and then get forward when it's possibly necessary. I think Arteta still values Zinchenko, but I think it's probably a wake-up call for Zinchenko to see how well Kivio has actually slotted in. Like, I don't think teams have complained about depth, and that's what we were talking about. There's injuries, and now we have players that are aptly coming into the system. It's good. I think Arsenal have been plagued for many years by not having enough quality and cover for certain key areas, and I think it's a breath of fresh air to have a guy like Kivio stepping in, having a guy like Leandro Trossard stepping in, having a guy like Reece Nelson, who played very key parts in last season, to come off the bench. You still have a guy like Jesus that needs to still hit his full stride. You have a guy like Smith Rowe who also needs to hit his full stride. Yeah, I think it's great. And I think it's maybe a wake-up call for Zinchenko, but I still think that he is Arteta's first choice just with what he offers us in that inverted role. Yeah, but I mean, shout out Kivio, man. I think he was on the end of one of the crosses as well. He like made his way into the box. I'm like, okay, guy knows his route to goal.
Yeah.
I feel like the depth and the not the fluidity that goes with it, but just the ability to be fluid in different games. So, like you were saying there, like the Zinchenko allows you to allows more when he plays inverted, and that can only be used in some games, because some games where you have like a brutal winger that's going to punish you when you lose the ball, and that's going to beeline up to the byline on his side, you're going to get exposed. So I think Arteta knows exactly, or not exactly yet, but he's starting to get to know which combinations of players to play together in different games. So this weekend against the low block, you can play a certain way. You can play with all those midfielders and just have the wide runners come inside if they want to, things like that. And it works out. So I guess the depth is very important, but also knowing which games to play your different players, the fluidity, because Jorginho didn't play because he wanted more fluidity in the players that he played. So you only against West Ham, who sits deep, you only need the one sitter. You don't need both Jorginho and Rice, and then all the other players around him can just do whatever they can to create the
Yeah.
space and things like that. So on that note, talking about depth and fluidity of the team, to a team that has, I guess, too much depth and zero fluidity. Let's just look this weekend. We have a massive game, or the biggest game of the weekend is on Saturday. I think it's the late game.
Yeah.
It's Manchester City against Chelsea. And Chelsea, they are not bad. I mean,
I think they're inconsistent
there we go.
right now.
That's a good word.
Yeah.
That's a good word.
That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah. So, and City are amazing. So they have Haaland back. City have Kevin De Bruyne back. City won last night in the Champions League. Phil Foden is out of this world at the moment. He's just playing ridiculously well. And they're slowly integrating Matthias Nunes into it as well, so that they don't have to completely rely on Rodri when Rodri is not out. But obviously, he's still the main man there. Your thoughts on the game this weekend? Let's start with AF. What do you think is going to happen? I also want to know, what do you think should Chelsea's preferred lineup be to get the most out of the team? Because I feel like that chops and changes a lot.
So I'm just going to speak about thoughts of the game first.
Yeah.
And I watched the highlights of the game on Monday night against Crystal Palace, and that looked like a completely different Chelsea team in that second half. If I'm not mistaken, Palace took the lead sometime in the first half. They went into halftime at 1-0, and then the Chelsea team that came out just like from the highlights, I watched the extended highlights because I wanted to see like more than just the goals. And there was we started this entire segment off with like no chemistry or stuff like that. But in that second half, they actually looked like a team that's been playing together all this time. So that begs the question, like, where has that been? Like, is it just because they don't want to play that way? Is it because some of them are lazy? Do they need the hair dryer treatment at halftime to bring that out of them? Because if they keep on playing like they did in that second half, they would be much higher up the table, like no doubt. They would see games through. There were so many games that they were leading and then they lost at the end of it. And if that played like that, completely different outcome. Gallagher, once again, we spoke about how underrated he is, and he keeps bringing everything to the fore. Like, I mean, the guy is quality, and Monday night showed it. Like, it showed like how good he is. He dictated everything in that game. Like, he scored a couple of goals, but even besides that, his grit, his determination, his passion, everything was amazing. And if that Chelsea team that played in the second half, if they come Saturday night against City with that mentality, it could be a really great spectacle for any of us watching, like be it neutrals, be it City fans, Chelsea fans. Okay, not really City fans, because they wouldn't want to lose the game. But yeah, I think it could become a great spectacle. But if they don't, then I mean, we could be seeing a Arsenal versus West Ham on Saturday night.
Sure.
Well, I mean, the last one was a 4-4 draw, right? I think, is that what happened? In the previous game?
Yeah, 4-4.
Which
There's
was
no chance Pep allows that to happen again. 100%. You saw how angry and how frustrated he looked and how disappointed he looked. There's no chance he allows his players to do that again.
He had no choice in that game, though. He had no choice. Chelsea just somehow manufactured it out of thin air. They just gave Cole Palmer the ball, and on transition, they just tried to somehow make a plan.
Sterling had probably his best game in a Chelsea shirt in that match.
He doesn't even start anymore.
Yeah.
Sterling. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on there.
Came on at halftime. But I think
for Jackson.
He was also. I think it was for Madueke. I think Jackson came up a bit later. But 100%. Christopher Nkunku came on for Madueke. I think if we look back and we think back to that 4-4 game, it was a very open game. City obviously will have most of, if not all of the possession, and literally all Chelsea have to do is just absorb, and then counter. And I think what a player like Cole Palmer gives them is that he understands what areas to occupy, and he's also got a very good final pass, which is all that you really need. And then you let all your fast people do what they need to do, right? So you have your Christopher Nkunku that plays off the shoulder. You have Raheem Sterling. Nicholas Jackson's no slouch either, right? He's like pretty rapid. I mean, granted, he would miss most things, but yeah, I think the game plan for Chelsea would be to let City control it. If they can somehow cut off the supply to Haaland, it will need something a bit more special from Foden, De Bruyne, Bernardo Silva. Probably, I think Jeremy Doku plays. But yeah, I think Chelsea need to absorb, and then literally launch as many counters as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, I think Grealish is injured, so I think Doku will play. But I think it's interesting because Poch played Nicholas Jackson against Crystal Palace on the left wing for some reason.
Yeah. Okay.
And who played up front? What did you say earlier on? No, Madueke played wide. I think Madueke it was. Yeah, Madueke, Jackson.
Palmer playing like false nine, basically.
Palmer played as a false nine, and that confused me quite a lot. I feel like it kind of messed up with the rhythm of the team in the first half, and then obviously halftime it changed everything and it looked much better.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna coming down to that. City have all the ball, and like last night. I mean, like you say, Haaland cutting off the supply to Haaland isn't the be all and end all, because they kind of find ways to destroy defenses even without Haaland. Haaland, like last night in the Champions League game, Haaland hardly had a touch. He had like a couple of shots here and there, but in between that, he doesn't really get involved in the play all that much. He just comes alive when necessary. So that's going to be really interesting to see. And exactly. And in terms of, I can't get this out of my head because you said it earlier, and it's popping me every time. Every time I think about it, I laugh because I think about the Chelsea team, and all I can think about is Ukraine Bolt, and it's so funny. Anyways, so quickly, would you start Sterling or would you not start Sterling in that Chelsea team?
I would start him.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't, and that's just me. Yeah, if.
Sorry, I just wanted to say, like, I think there's a lot for him to prove. I think he still feels like he has to prove to Pep Guardiola that he made a mistake in letting him go. And I think that's what he did in that first game, where, he was brilliant. And he gave all those City players the run around. And I feel like he's going to want to do that again tomorrow, on Saturday. So I think starting him is a good idea, mainly because he has a point to prove, and I think he will want to do it again the exact same way that he did at the end of last year.
Jason, why wouldn't you start him?
No, I was just going to go with the fact that he hasn't started recently, and I think the team's front line have seemed to be doing okay. But why I can agree with AF is that he's obviously got the experience, and I think he keeps Kyle Walker honest, right? So if you have him on the left, Kyle Walker can't necessarily have all those bombarding runs because of what happened last game, which is Cole Palmer occupying space, getting the ball, and playing lovely weighted passes into Sterling. So I can agree with AF. I can also see why they wouldn't start him, just in terms of consistency and teams that have started. But listening to that argument, I can actually see how Poch probably plays Sterling and has him very high up and keeps Kyle Walker in this area of either you go forward and you leave Sterling there and then we see what happens, or you stay back and then City's normally very busy right hand side is not as busy, But yeah, that's I think it could go either way, and I think either way would be justified, if that makes sense. It sounds like I'm very on the fence here, but I can agree with both.
I think the main problem as to why Sterling hasn't been playing is because of that whole inconsistency issue and a depth issue that not an issue. I suppose depth is not really an issue, but to have so many players that can play and not knowing your starting 11 is the problem. Because now you have to do chopping and changing, and I mean Sterling would be starting in anybody's team really. Even if he has to come off at 50 minutes, he'd be starting the game. He'd be getting the most minutes out of him. He'd be trying to not work the team around him, but he'd be in most of the team starting because I mean he you can see that he still has it in him, and he has a point. Like I have said, he has a point to prove, especially in this game. So I guess that Cole Palmer Sterling connection will probably come in to some interesting fruition this weekend, I suppose. So with that in mind, let's go with the prediction to end it off. AF, your prediction for the weekend, Manchester City and Chelsea.
I think I'm going to go with a City 3-1. I think that they are going to be too powerful for Chelsea.
Jason?
Yeah. Look, I was literally thinking that in my head as he said it. I was thinking 3-1 or so, but I think it's actually I'm going to go with like a 2-1 City. And I think Chelsea is going to score first. There's absolutely no need for me to say that, but I'm feeling that.
I like that. I like it a lot. I'm going to go with a. I like interesting things. I'm going to go 3-3. I'm going to go with a draw. I really want a draw.
I would love for City to drop points. Yeah. Honestly,
exactly
I would love that more than anything. Just let Arsenal win the league already. Just do it.
But then it's Liverpool. Let's see who the Liverpool are.
We went the whole episode, guys. Yeah, Jason, the whole episode with you must not be named. And now, look, you dropped the name, and now they're going to come and snake you. Now they're going to come and snake you.
What Nikita sent me before that, she's like, if you don't talk about Liverpool, she's going to kill my laundry, bro. So, yeah.
I didn't, in all fairness, I didn't know. So, Nikita, take it out on them, not me. Thank you very much.
That's Brentford, though, no? They have Brentford this weekend, though.
Yeah, Brentford, and I think they got Luton as well, maybe. If I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah, that's double. It's a double, It's a double. And City have a double as well. So
get those FPL teams in order, people.
Thank you. That's for me, I think.
First, is going to triple captain Martinelli.
No chance. Martinelli can match out to my team.
No, that's a lie. Come on. He's going to do something.
Biggest mistake already. Look, let's not get started on FPL chat.
That's just my emotions speaking, guys. I don't know.
That's what it's supposed to be on, emotions. Anyways, that's when you fail in the FPL, when you go on emotions, because like I know this from first-hand experience. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining me today on this episode 54 of 343. Where can we get you on socials, AF?
I am AF Barker 642 on everything. Like you think of the social media, and that will be my handle. And I've been doing a lot of threads on threads lately. So give us at Sportycast a follow over there as well. We would love to interact with you. I would love to interact with you. It's an amazing app. It's an amazing community. So head on over.
Jason?
At Jason_Ronnie, also on all of the socials. I'm trying to understand threads. AF is going to teach me, so I will also be interacting a bit more soon. Drop me a line. Let's talk. Let's interact.
Threads is basically Twitter without all those toxic fanboys.
Perfect.
Essentially. Yeah.
Then catch me there this weekend. Then.
You can follow me at Sportycast on everything, just follow
you.
Channel. Yeah, I'm using that as my kind of social media, I guess, to plug it, just plug it. Follow us at Sportycast, like the video, share the video, subscribe to us. It really helps us a lot. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next week.